What's up, YouTube? It's your boy, Jeremy Wormy, and I just wanted to say, hey, I noticed something today. Noticed something really interesting today. Well, yesterday for you, today for me. I thought about it. Didn't put out a Velma video. Man, that was so nice. Didn't have to talk about Velma for a day. Didn't talk about it for a while. Been trying to avoid it at all costs. Well, that record's done. Velma. God, Velma. Don't you just love it? Velma, a show that has a 6% audience score and continues to go down. You have 1.3 on IMDb. You have Velma's become the worst rated anime show on IMDb history, beating out Lily Singh and Santa Inc. Over on Metacritic, and I forgot to pull it up, over on Metacritic, has a Metascore of 0.4 with users. Man, critics. Critics getting in gear. You guys don't ever know. Well, we come to this where Velma star Mindy Kaling and creator Charlie Grandy got no pushback on R-rated Scooby-Doo. It was just excitement. Warner Brothers failed. Now, a lot of this is still old regime Warner Brothers. Pre-David Zaslav. This is pre-David Zaslav. So this is the old crew, the old incitement to insanity, the usual nonsense that you're so used to by this point. It is... Oh, my God. Zaslav, buddy, pal, friend, why the fudge did you not off this show? It is so bad. It is so ridiculous. And what they say in this article, what Mindy Kaling and the creator Charlie Grandy say, is so ridiculous. And we're going to go through it, you know. You get the usual rundown. Hey, it's a huge hit. People love it. You got all these people here. How did the show come about? Well, they wanted to both work on each other, and they looked through the catalog of characters. They saw Velma, and you get the line from Mindy Kaling, "Oh, I've always related to Velma as the sort of unsung hero who does all the work but gets none of the credit, and how fun it would be to do an original story about that character, even though they butchered her." But, you get the usual story. This is how the concept came. Oh, we just came together, and she said, oh, let's do this. And it moves forward. Was there any pushback to how hard edge your task was? Charlie Grandy, not at all. Mindy Kaling, no, it was just excitement. It's so great because we love this character. She's so iconic and obviously one of the few characters from the era that she was created that only I could actually identify with. I think she's trying to say that was created that only I could actually identify with. Why? Why? Because you didn't recreate her. You took Velma. You took her, okay? Mindy, darling, friend, pal, awful human being. You took Velma. You took her. You said, hi, this character I identify with. And to show how I identify with her, I'm going to take her, I'm going to off her, and then I'm going to put myself as her and say, see, I identify with her. She has none of the traits that actually made Velma Velma, and at the same time, I love her and she's Velma. When in reality, no, she's you. She's you, Mindy. Your rendition of Velma is nothing more than you. And it's no surprise I love writing about young women. Charlie created the show. I just played the part. But this world of teenagers was such a fun world that I've loved to explore before. And it was such a great way to work with actors who we normally couldn't get to be on live action show. Ming-Na Wen and Russell Peters are obviously Glenn and Sam and Constance and Yvonne, all these people who were killers on their own show were willing to come do voices in this. It's such a dream experience. Well, Ming-Na Wen, I'm pretty sure just did it for a paycheck. I'm pretty sure most of the people in the show did it for a paycheck. They actually don't even care. I can't even tell you who Ming-Na Wen's character was. I think it's Constance's mom. I guess. I don't know. But you're saying, I identified with her. She's so wonderful, unsung hero. And then you're talking about everything else. You're talking about, it's so fun to work with all these other actors, all these bigger names, all these people that are more important. And I love talking about these high school shows. I love talking about women. Nothing about Velma, though. You're not talking about the character. You're not, because you don't care about the character. You are such a petulant child that you care more about your high school age when you were crapped on, obviously, and you've taken Velma to do your own therapy session with everybody. You have bastardized Velma to do your own parody of Velma. You are putting us through your therapy session. And I hate it. But it gets better. It gets better. Right here. There's so much Scooby-Doo lore at this point, and you obviously have homages like original voice actor Frank Welker voiced Fred's father. Was it hard to balance the references and the reinvention? Charlie Grandy. What does Charlie Grandy say? I think the key was always keeping the original in the forefront of your mind and really just letting that be the compass. The original in our forefront of our mind is why we despise the show. The original is why we look at the show and we say, hey, this show is awful, objectively garbage, lofty. It is the worst thing I have ever seen. It is on par with Rings of Power, Blood Origin, Wheel of Time. It is on par with She-Hulk. It is objectively awful. It is horrific. And no, you trying to utilize the original, keep it in the forefront of your mind, is why we hate it. Because the original shot, you trying to even have any original parts, you know, the outfits, maybe a name or something, is why we get so frustrated and have such anger, because we know you don't like what came before. Because, continuing on, what really attracted me to the project was I loved Scooby-Doo growing up, and I loved both the comedy and also the horror. But that goes counterintuitive to what you say up here when you say, how did the show come about? Mindy and I both moved over to Warner Brothers at the same time, and she'd been thinking about doing some animation and was looking over a catalog of characters. It's like, oh, I've always related to Velma as the sort of unsung hero who does all the work but gets none of the credit, and how fun it would be to do an original story about this character. From this, it looks like you both were just looking over all sorts of catalogs of characters that Warner Brothers had. Hanna-Barbera, you were just going through the list. Well, let's choose Velma. Because when you read that and then come down here and read, I always loved Scooby-Doo growing up, those 2 points don't make sense. You either decided to do a Scooby-Doo show first and then went to Mindy, or you and Mindy came together at the same time and decided to do a Velma show. Those ideas don't add up. And the goal, it gets worse. It gets worse. And the goal for me was to try to update both for an audience, for a more modern audience. We're not just necessarily taking these characters and updating them in the sense that, oh, now they're super crass and it's not what you thought. It's trying to keep the suspense and the horror and the jokes, but for something that would be engaging to an older, more mature audience. No, What you did was you took the characters. You took Fred, Daphne, Shaggy, Velma, and Scooby, mind you. After the last episode, they did take Scooby. And if what Adam, the Renaissancer, shout out to my buddy, hypothesized is going to happen, Scooby's going to be in the show. The actual dog might actually end up in the show. But, stepping back, we took you took these characters, you took the main cast, minus Scooby, but potentially also Scooby. You took them all, and you said, you know what? I actually hate all these characters, even though I say I love them, and I'm going to off Daphne, completely change her. I'm going to off Shaggy, completely change him. I'm going to take Fred, take away his leadership rules, his charm, his, he's a trap guy. He always focuses solely on, he's not the brightest bulb in the bunch, but he's a leader. He's confident. He knows what he needs to do. We're going to take this very masculine dude, and we're going to babyfy him, make him prepubescent, and say, see, these are the characters you always knew and loved, when they're only those characters in name only. They have similar outfits, but that's about it. These are not the characters that we grew up with. These are not the characters that we identified with on different aspects. I loved Shaggy and Scooby for who they are. They were lovable goofballs. I love Fred for being the leader. I love Daphne for being confident in what she needs to be confident about. She never expected to be brilliant. She expected to be... They all exuded confidence in a different way, except for Shaggy and Scooby. But Shaggy and Scooby were the heart. They all had a role, and they all filled it perfectly. And if you liked Scooby-Doo, you would have noticed that. But instead, you bastardized them. You decided to make it for a more modern audience, not the actual people that like the show that you say you liked, but at the same time said that it was you and Mindy's idea together to start the show. Again, when you look at those original characters, they have their iconic outfits, and they have some small character traits. They have the iconic outfits, and none of their original traits. The only original trait that we have for Shaggy, Norville, Sam, is that he's a wimp. But he's not the same wimp that we had in the show where he was a lovable wimp. This is just a pathetic wimp. But it's not a tone. It felt like, okay, we have these few things. How can we put story weight on those things? How can we make that a big reveal the first time a character does something or is wearing something that you just haven't seen before? You want to have it have meaning, and it ended up being really helpful in terms of breaking stories and thinking about stories. You want to know when Velma first says jinkies? It's in the basement of Fred's house where she reads it on a piece of paper, and then they joke about, you're trying to make that a thing, stop it. You want to know why Velma wears her glasses? They actually belong to her mother, who she has guilt about because she caused her to leave. You want me to continue on? You want to know why Daphne has red hair? Because her mom smoked a lot. Enough to kill her. That's the reason these shows exist. That's the reason everything exists. It's dumb, it's stupid, and you hate what came before you. You hate it so much that you introduced Scooby, into the last episode, and it was a government project. And if what Adam said and hypothesized actually comes about, I'm willing to bet that rumor that Gigi becomes Scooby with an I, because guess what? The Scooby they have in the show is spelled with an I. I think it's gonna happen. I think that rumor's still going to happen. And my God, am I gonna milk that crap if it actually happens. But let me get you guys' thoughts down in the comments below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, share it out with your friends, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell for every time I put out a new video and go live, guys. And I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.